Immerse yourself in the lives of the BYU Cougars. This is Deep Blue. This is Deep Blue with Jason Shepard.
Thanks for tuning in for a new episode of Deep Blue. This is the show where we get to know the person behind the number that you see on the field or the court. These are the true stories of BYU athletes from their own mouths. My guest today, oh, you love him. Former BYU quarterback, longtime BYU football analyst, and my good friend, Marc Lyons. Marc, it is so good to see you.
Well, thank you. I feel the same way. Man, I'm pretty excited. I've seen so many of the Deep Blues and thought, wow, I'm going to have a chance to be on Deep Blue, so I don't want to mess it up here today.
No, you can't mess it up. It's all about you. We're here to talk about you. That's the whole point, right?
I know. They've forgotten me already.
Oh, no, they have not. But look, you've been away from BYU football games as the color analyst for quite a few years now. Your last season was 2018, and I know I see you at the stadium from time to time. How has your relationship with BYU football changed since leaving the booth? Now you get to lean into being a fan now.
You know, and it was good. I really was worried about how can I be a fan, because I'd watch a play and I'm afraid I would start talking about, oh, they ran a double blitz that time and he came in, and all the people around me going, who's this? What's he talking about? But I enjoy it. You know, the things that I haven't really appreciated in the past, the band goes out there and rips it up, and that end of the third quarter is just great, you know, with Cosmo and the fire dancers. And I'm adjusting quite well. I really like being a fan.
Even if you don't verbalize it, do you still watch the games with an analyst, or as a former player, as a quarterback, do you still watch it that way?
Well, it's not exactly the same, because after you are a player and you see all that film, you are analyzing what everybody's doing. And it took a long time for me to be able to just watch a football game. And I'm getting to that point, but I still recognize here comes safety blitz, and is the back going to stay down and block? And so I am still aware of those things, but I'm much better about maybe watching Chase Roberts make a great one-handed catch or something like that.
He's got a lot of those, too.
Yeah.
He's one heck of a receiver, and he's certainly going to be missed after this year. But I think big things are ahead for him at the next level in the National Football League.
It'll be great, you know. And if we're talking that, Puka Nacua is just tearing it up. And so you look at Chase and think, man, this guy could be another one out there.
Well, and Puka's a perfect example of, look, you don't have to be a top first-round pick or second-round pick. It's all about where you go and the team that you go to. It's more about fit than it is about the status of being a high draft pick. Because if you can go where you are a perfect fit, like Puka did, goes in the 5th round to the Rams, goes to a perfect situation, and we now sees, if not the best, one of the best receivers in the NFL.
He's awesome. I know. It's just great.
Yeah, it's cool. I do want to ask you this. You've seen a lot of eras of BYU sports. When you look at what's going on right now with BYU athletics, entering the Big 12, you have everything that's going on with BYU basketball and the excitement level around that. The football program winning again at such a high level. What do you think about BYU athletics now?
Well, and the cross-country team was second in the nation, and it just goes on and on. It's fantastic. It's for the rankings that they get and the attention that they get, and not the fact that people think they're not getting the attention brings attention to it.
Right.
And so I'm overwhelmed, actually. We were 6-4, I think, was about my best season. But we did get invited to a bowl. I don't remember what one it was, and the coaches said we voted no to go, and so I know the school didn't want to pay for us.
It's a completely different, even from when you were in the booth as an analyst.
Oh, yeah.
The college game is different. The dynamics of everything behind the scenes are completely different in terms of NIL and everything involved with that now.
Transfer rules and NIL, and it's just crazy how a starter for, I think it was Kansas State basketball, that was his third team in 3 years. Oh, my gosh. You know, and I worry about there's no loyalty, but I feel like here, look at AJ. He comes here and he loves it, and I like the idea that when the players do come here, find out what BYU is like, they really accept it and like it.
Yeah, it's fun. Look, there's certainly a financial component involved in all of this, but you still have to be a good fit for where you're going to play, who you're going to play with. And I think that's the example that you just brought up in terms of AJ DeBonsa. He loves it here, and he's a really good fit with his teammates and his coaches. So it's a different time, but it's fun to see BYU being able to be successful in this new landscape.
Yeah, it's great. I really enjoy being a fan.
Yeah.
Getting back to the start of that. I'll support BYU, and I love them forever.
Well, speaking of love, before we started this, as we were coming up to the studio, we ran into a guy that you spent a lot of time with, and that would be the voice of the Cougars, Greg Wrubell. You guys obviously been in the booth for a long, long time. What's the relationship like with Greg? Do you still talk to Greg quite a bit?
We text occasionally. When I was out there sitting in the stands saying, you're all warm and cozy up there, taking a nice nap. But, we still are friends and brothers-in-law. We still get together. We enjoy the time that we had together before, and it's a good memory.
Isn't that really, though, what lasts the longest? Because we can talk about each individual game. We can talk about all these different stats. But it's the moments and it's the relationships throughout our careers, throughout our lifetimes that we really remember the most, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. I can tell you a lot of Paul James stories, but I won't.
Well, we are going to talk about that time, so we will certainly get to that. But instead of going back just that far, how about we go back all the way to the beginning?
Oh.
Give everybody an idea what it was like to grow up in Arvada, Colorado.
Well, it was great. My dad was a coach. He was a head basketball coach, assisted in football. He was a good athlete in Wisconsin where he was growing up. And we were in Illinois when I was born. Mm-hmm. At 10 years old, he decided to come out west and went to Arvada High School and was the basketball coach and assistant football. And we lived 2 blocks from the school.
Was that a culture shock for you? I mean, at 10 years old, you're still pretty malleable, but was that a difficult thing for you?
No, it was good. I liked it. It was because I'm just around the corner now of being able to play.
Right.
And when I was in Illinois, I got to go dribble the ball, on the basketball court, but I had to clear the road pretty quick when the game's going to start. And so it was good. Arvada was great for me. Good fit.
Were you always a sports-obsessed kid growing up?
I was. And I just have to throw this in right now because my grandson, Logan, oh my gosh, he eats it up. I'm always hearing, he lives right behind us. I hear the ball bouncing out there on the court. I hear the ping, ping of his bat hitting the ball off a tee. I wasn't that nuts. But I couldn't wait to have the chance to be on a team. Started with baseball, and the competition was great. And I found out some interesting things about enjoying the sports.
So what got you into it? Was it the fact that your dad was a coach?
I think probably so. Yeah, we had a hoop in the backyard, and of course, and had a chance to go shoot. The thing I like about we'll probably get to it, but I really thought I was a basketball player, not necessarily a football player, because at basketball you can just go out and shoot in the backyard. You can get 5 guys together pretty easy and hoop it up and play 2-on-2, and it's a different situation to try and get 11 guys around to play some football, But we'd go throw the ball around, but it wasn't the same. It was like I was trying to refine my skills of basketball.
Do you ever think about what could have been? Had you taken a different path?
I sure liked the path I took.
Yeah, it turned out pretty well for you.
And so I cannot sit back and say what would have happened or what might have been. But because the path I took was, well, it was great.
So what then tipped the scales ultimately for football for you then?
Well, the recruit trip, I guess, was when I came out here. I came on a recruit trip, and the school was, golly, it was so clean. And people, what was funny is the recruit guy that was showing me around, I'm not saying who it was, but he would play me up, hey, this guy's going to come and play football. He's going to be great. He's going to be awesome. And then the first day I show up here to school, I say, hi, how are you? What's going on? And he says, don't talk to me when I'm with my friends. So it was a recruit deal. But the story is totally, I decided to pray. Mm-hmm. And in doing so, I was trying to make a choice between playing basketball and football, going to BYU or go to Colorado State or Colorado. And it kept coming back. I'm going to go over and play football. My mom did the same thing, and she came up with the same solution. And I appreciated that I'm not a member. Mm-hmm. I wasn't a member at that time. Mm-hmm. I was a Christian Scientist, and Craig Bozich made fun of me in a religion class here. But I had an influence coming from some different power, and it was the Lord, and it directed me to be here, and it was hard at first. Yeah. And I expect that it's a good lesson for us to learn that it doesn't always just fall on your lap the way it's supposed to go. You have to work at it.
Well, and you had mentioned that you decided to pray. So obviously that principle is something that you knew is important. So what role did religion play in your life or within the family dynamic growing up for you?
Well, I thought that we were Christian Scientists because it was only 2 blocks away to the church. But it turns out that my mom actually had an interest in being a Christian Scientist earlier in her life. And so it was the reverse. Because the church was there, we bought our house over here. And so I did attend regularly on Sundays and got to the point where I kind of appreciated going and got to where I recognized that there was a supreme being that had something to do with my life.
Back to the sports side of things, where did the Arvada Flash nickname come from?
I don't know. It was here. It
was at
BYU.
Yeah.
And I think it was Bill Coltrane who was writing for the Trib, I think, at the time. I think was with the Trib. And he had given me a couple nicknames, but he came up with the Arvada Flash. And he also had Marc Mountain Lyons. He was put that in the paper every once in a while. But,
which do you like better?
Well, the Arvada Flash makes it sound like I'm quick, and I'm not. That was one of my weaknesses.
Well, and I want to know, you mentioned that it came down ultimately to BYU and Colorado State. Not a member of the church. How much did you even know about BYU at the time?
Well, there were 2 LDS kids in my high school, and I dated one of them. But I don't think she was the example that I would have. The Bob Killip, my friend, he was a better example in kind of teaching me, but I still didn't ever get to the point of Mormon or Muslim. It was a different religion. Mm-hmm. And so I came somewhat ignorant about the principles of the church, how you live your life, following the guidelines that you learn from the gospel. And like I said, I was a Sunday attender, but the rest of the week I wasn't Satan's friend, but I was on my own. It wasn't ever much of a concern to me about my religion. when I came here and found out that people live their religion every day, it was a different experience to see. And I don't know that I ever felt like an outsider or anything, but I was well accepted. And like I say, except for Craig Bozich in our religion class, Marc Lyons is a Christian Scientist.
Just calling you out right in the middle of class.
I know. So it was good for me to have that opportunity to come here. I did come with an open mind. Mm-hmm. I anticipated that in that age where you might be finding a mate, a wife, and here I am in Provo where everybody is LDS, I thought there was a chance that I might end up being in that situation. So I was pretty open to it. And my conversion story is a story.
We are going to get into that coming up in just a few minutes, but I do want to ask you, so you mentioned telling the story how you prayed and your mom prayed and you both came to the same conclusion that BYU is the right place for you. So I know where your mom fell on that decision. Did you get any pushback from family or friends? Like, why are you going to BYU?
No, none at all. And the LDS girlfriend that I had said, they're gonna get you. They'll get you.
They prepared you for it, right?
And so I went in again. I had an open mind. We had a recruit dinner with the kids that were from Colorado. Harold Monson, Craig Bozich, Monty Squires, and myself went to dinner with Frank Fabris, who was the line coach here then, and we had it was a good entertaining evening. We enjoyed everybody's company, and they were all good guys. And that was the first thing that I had where I thought, hey, if these guys are going to go, I kind of like these guys. They're good. And in fact, Monty Squires and I took our train ride together from Denver, Colorado, over to Provo, Utah, in order to start our lives here. And we didn't know each other very well, but at the end, we were best friends and still are. And he was a center and I was the quarterback, and it was a good relationship. So there's too many of those experiences of good, honest people that are really good friends. We still get together once a year to go to a football game. All of us that lived down in we were all roommates out in a house that still, it's not there anymore. They tore it down. We had a dartboard on the wall, and we missed too many times, and the whole wall was just deteriorated.
Is that holes in the wall?
Yeah. So the association with those people early opened my mind to think about it. My recruit trip was great. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed the feeling here, and I even in talking to Lavelle one time when he wasn't the head coach at the time, he was the defensive coordinator, and I was just explaining to Perry Rodrigue, an ex-Marine who was a rough and tumble guy. He said, I don't know what it is, but every time I come here, I have a good feeling about it. And Lavelle said, well, that's the spirit. And I had that same feeling in that recruit trip. It was just a unique, different place. On my recruit trip to Colorado State, we played basketball to 2 a.m, went out for pizza and beer, and that was it. And I was thinking, this is what we're going to do in Fort Collins. So I enjoyed my recruit trip. It was different than other experiences, and I did have that opportunity to feel the Spirit.
You know, and I'm curious because you choosing to come to BYU, there's obviously the on-the-field aspect of it as well. And BYU was not the BYU we know today. In fact, they weren't even the BYU that they would become under Lavelle in the mid to late 70s and obviously then in the early 80s. From an on-the-field perspective, what sold you on BYU? Or was it more the other stuff that you were just talking about that sort of trumped everything?
I really wondered if I can fit in. Now, the game is not the same game. When the game I played was pretty simple. The game today is pretty far out. It's different, and I guess it would be after 50 years. But there was Virgil Carter was the quarterback, but behind Virgil, it was pretty open. And I did have this thought that if I came here, I might have a chance to play. I also, in the back of my mind, thought I might be able to go out for the basketball team after football. And I'm sure glad I recognized I wasn't ready for that. So the football, we had a good freshman team. We only get to play 4 games in our freshman season. In that time, freshmen weren't eligible for varsity sports, and so we won all 4 of our games, 2 of them against Utah. And so it turned out that I was starting to feel like I think I can play this game. And my dad was very supportive, helped me out a lot in those times that were rough, and it just encouraged me to stick with it, stay with it. Things are going to be okay. And coming from him, I felt good about it.
So you come to BYU, you're here at BYU, you're not a member, but you do recognize the spirit. You recognize that there was, someone that was wanting you to be at BYU for a reason. You mentioned you had an interesting conversion story. At some point, you do become interested in the church. What happened?
I do. One of my teammates, Ken Call, Ken came to me one day and says, Mark, first of all, let me say this. We were in John Hall, and John Hall was an athletic hall, and that's where a lot of non-members were living in the dorm. And many times returned missionaries would come in with the idea that, hey, there's some guys we can go convert. And they were still fresh off their mission, still had that feeling of let's go preach. We didn't see that way. We saw, you're damned if you don't join the church.
Right.
That's what we saw. It wasn't the way it was, but that's what we visioned. And so in that opportunity that, we were able to get an idea that there was, it was a little challenging. That's what I'm getting to say. It was a little challenging, a little bit of a push to join the church. And so Ken Call came to me with the attitude, Mark, you're a good guy. Our church could use a member like you. What are you talking about? He says, my grandpa is really knowledgeable in the gospel. If you have any problems in your religion classes, let me know and I can answer them, or I'll get an answer from my grandfather. And so I did have a question, and he answered it. And I did have a question, and I was concerned about there's a prophet that can talk to God here on earth. And he said, well, do you believe the Bible? Yeah, I do. Well, there were prophets in the Bible that were able to communicate with God. Why wouldn't there be now? I like that answer. So Ken had a good friend who had just returned from a mission, and he asked if he and his good friend could come give me the lessons. And then no pressure, just listen to what we have to say. And at the end of that, I was ready to be baptized. It was Ken Call that made such a good impression on me. He was the guy that would go around in the dorm and knock on the door Sunday morning and say, hey, it's priesthood, time for priesthood. Get up, you guys, let's go to priesthood. He was a terror on the football field. He was a tough, rough running back. And so he, in fact, Tommy Hudspeth said one time, there's more fight in that Ken Call than 10 of you other guys. So the day came, and I was baptized. Ken baptized me. And one of the trials I faced early in the church is the next Saturday, Ken drowned in the Provo River. We used to go up there to the flumes and jump in and ride him down like there were a wave. And Ken jumped in on the dam side, and his feet kicked out from him. He hit his head, and the guys that were with him jumped in to go get him, but he'd already, I don't know whether it was the hit on the head and that was the end of my season. That was the end of the school year. And Ken was kind of my guiding light to help me along. And that was a challenge for me to kind of lose my partner. And I appreciated so much his interest in me. Later on, I found out that in his patriarchal blessing said that he would serve a mission while he was here on earth. And I just can't imagine that I would have been his mission. But on the other hand, maybe I was.
How much comfort did you feel in that time of certainly a lot of pain and sorrow? How much comfort did you get from having had the discussions and learning more about the fact that this is not the end of everything, that there is life after this life? How much comfort did that give you that you will see your friend again?
Yeah, it was, that was one of the things that I felt so good about, is that the plan that we have, and I'm so new to it all. It was just so new. There was so much more I have to learn. But in that regard, I did appreciate that the life that we have in the future is still going to be a beneficial one.
Well, I appreciate you being willing to share that story. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little football. We're going to talk about Marc's career on the field and then everything that happened after his playing career was over. You're listening to the Deep Blue Podcast here on BYU Radio. The Big 12 is full of unforgettable moments, and big stories is where they're told. Host Cleon Wall teams up with voices from across the conference to spotlight the biggest plays and the most inspiring stories. Do not miss it. Listen to Big Stories wherever you get your podcasts. Welcome back to the Deep Blue Podcast here on BYU Radio. I'm your host, Jason Shepard, and my guest is the great Marc Lyons, and it has been so much fun to catch up with Marc again. I spent certainly not as many years as Marc did with Greg, but I was so privileged to be able to spend quite a few years doing pregame with Marc and postgame and all that kind of good stuff. So it's so much fun to be able to catch up with you. Let's go back to the actual on the field career of Marc Lyons. You played quarterback 66 to 69. So as we talked about, BYU was not the BYU that people know today. What was the program like then?
Well, Virgil Carter was there, and then they brought in the Marines, and that made a big difference to the performance on the field. Virgil was an outstanding quarterback, and I learned so much from him. He called most of the plays on his own then. Before that, most of the coaches call all the plays now. And he had Phil Odell, Casey Boyette. There were two guys, Perry Rodriguez, the running back, and they had Max Newberry, a good tackle. And, they just had these guys that were mature and kind of knew the game and were good leaders. And so I really felt as though our freshman year we were separated from those guys, other than we practiced against them for 3 days of the week. And we were the opponent and put in all the opponent's things. And then we got 2 days on our own to prepare for our game. But so we had an association with them. And I remember Max Newberry telling me one time, because we were getting out of the huddle quickly and coming up, so, Lyons, slow it down over there. Not where the coaches could hear him, but I was going, they running fast.
They're up tempo,
playing somebody.
Yeah.
And so it was good. I fit in. We were confident with the freshman team that we had. We did win our 4 games that we got to play, and 2 of them were against Utah, so that was great. We did something that maybe lost some recruits. Wayne Starton was our football coach and the freshman team, and we were beating Utah here at our school 42-0. And it was late in the game, and we were going to punt, and Wayne had our punter punt the wrong direction, which went through the end zone for a safety. So it ended up 42-2. And the Utah people didn't appreciate that very much. Somehow it was a freshman game.
Right.
Who's going to tell, But it got into the newspaper, and I don't know whether people thought we were being a little bit overboard and rubbing it in at that time.
Take me through your trajectory as a player at BYU and getting your opportunities and continuing to grow as a football player.
Well, I was really the only quarterback on our freshman team. The other 2 quarterbacks that were recruited had some challenges. Mm-hmm. So I had a good opportunity that next year in my redshirt year to learn from Virgil and get the idea of how to play this game. I was still the scout team quarterback, and so that was good. And then my year that I had an opportunity, we did win the conference championship with Virgil his senior year. And so we were on the top of the ring now. And I had a good opportunity to compete for the starting job my sophomore year, and I ended up being the starter. And it was pretty, it was pretty big time, So one of the things that helped is that Phil Odell, I was a really good quarterback my sophomore year. And then Phil graduated, and he was gone. I was a really average quarterback that next year. So it really was something that I learned, that who's out there playing with you has an awful lot to do with who's making who good. But Phil was an All-American and played for Detroit, and he was a good mentor to me, and he was a good leader, and helped me out in those times in the huddle. Except another Max Newberry story. We were playing Wyoming and struggling. Wyoming beat us all 3 years. Wyoming were the conference champions one of those years, but you wouldn't know it today. But we were mulling around, having trouble, and Max came back and said, "Lyons, throw the bomb and get us out of here." So he was knowing his football skills were to throw the bomb and get it going. We competed well, but we had a lot of close games. We ended up 6-4 that year. And it wasn't the season we wanted. We finished tied for second, though, in the conference. And so it was still the upper half. We still looked as though we were going to have a better opportunity. So the next year, another one of my trials that I had in my life is that something that, again, I didn't know, I wasn't aware of, but my dad passed away in August, just a couple of weeks before I was coming here to school to start two-a-days. And I really felt as though my skills and my competitive attitude came from me. And I found out that it was from my dad. And he listened to every game. We would talk about it the next week, and that was gone. That was gone from me. And I found out that my competitive attitude changed, and it wasn't just me that was able to do it. It came from a source where my dad was. I wanted to do well for my dad, and his encouragement helped me a lot. So we muddled through that season. We were 2-8, and it was challenging on the field too. We had a hard time. We felt competitive. We felt like every game we were going to win. There was never a time that we thought we were going to go in and not be able to win a game. But it also, we ended up not on the positive side. Then that next year, I was able to meet my wife and have a supporter, someone that paid attention to what was going on.
Yeah, how much
game.
did that help in terms of being a soundboard, help you through some of these struggles?
Absolutely, it did. She became my new encourager and my new person I could talk to about it. And she was patient, helpful, and I was able to get back to the point that I knew there was more than just me that was part of this game. I was 1/11th of this team and on the offense, and everybody had a part to play, and we all worked at it. The one thing that people don't, we just become brothers. We just become united and together. You huddle up, and everybody's sweaty and bleeding and tired, and I call a play, and every single one of those guys is going to go do his best on that next play, and it just becomes so part ingrained of how you all become a unit, and it was such a good experience to be able to see how you pull together as a team.
Do you have a favorite playing memory? Or is it a game? Is it a specific throw?
Yeah.
What stands out to you when I ask you that?
Well, we were beating San Jose badly my junior year. Well, it was my sophomore year. It's because Phil's there, and Phil came back to Tommy Hudspeth had told me no more passing because we were beating them badly. Phil came back and said, "Mark, this guy's giving me a bunch of crap over here. I'm going long." And I said, "Tommy said no more passes." And he says, "I'll take care of Tommy." Now, he's a Marine that is pretty much associated and closer to the age of Tommy Hudspeth. So he ran a stop and go, and I threw it up to him, and it was right in stride, and he's 3 yards behind the guy, runs into the end zone, stops, and throws the ball up into the stands. And, oh, man,
Did you take heat for it after?
I was waiting for Phil to come over with me.
It's like, if I'm walking over there, I need you right next to me.
But as I'm coming off the field, Tommy's looking at me with a stern face, but he didn't say anything.
Wow.
So I didn't have – I was going to say, Phil made me do it. But, he let it go. And then the next year, we go to San Jose and we lose. And I don't know if there's any carryover from San Jose being upset with us making that play or not, but we weren't as good the next year.
You know, it's interesting when you and it's just probably a question that there's really no way to answer because there's really no way of knowing what the future holds. But when you look back on the way the program began to gain momentum, do you look back on the days where you were there and can you see sort of some of the foundation, the groundwork being laid for what this program would turn into?
Yeah, I do. So my, what year was it? It was a home game with Wyoming. Now, Wyoming we had the Black 14 situation the year before, and that was uncomfortable. That was a difficult year with those complications. But in this particular game, we're competing quite well with Wyoming. We're coming down to make a final drive and score and win the game. And we ended up, it didn't happen that way. But Lloyd Eaton came, the coach at Wyoming. It was early in the season, and he came over to our bus and said, "You guys played a great game today. you're going to do fine. You're going to go on and have a good season. And I was impressed by hearing that from their coach. And also, it made me feel, I could feel this feeling that, yeah, we are good enough to play the best and play them even. And so it was a good turning point, I guess, again, where a lot of us had that same kind of confidence that we could go out and beat people.
What was the plan for you when your collegiate career came to an end?
Yeah, that was hard. That senior day is a hard day. You get the blanket and it's over, and it's just, there's been a lot of time in my life that I was playing some sport, and it's done. It was a hard thing to do, and it was at that point that I decided I'm going to be a teacher and a coach. And it's my way of getting back into the game is to coach these high school kids, and it was a great life. I spent 42 years of teaching, and it was, I think, 28 of those I was coaching, and it was a way to stay in the game.
Was it always all at Olympus in Salt Lake City?
They were all at Olympus, yeah. And that's where it came that Paul James called and asked me to be his color commentator. And first of all, though, he had me go through a voice test with him, and we went into a studio like this, and he says, now I'm going to call a play, and you can just kick in what you would say. And he calls this play, and it's in my vision. I can see this play. Paul was so good at describing, and I bubble. Good, that's good, okay. So he'd call another play, and so he said, we'll get back to you. And that next week they called and said I got to be the color guy to go along.
And what year was this?
I have to ask my wife. 1980.
1980, okay.
And so BYU lost. They had like a 22-game win streak going, and they lost their first game that season that I was broadcasting against New Mexico. And I thought, oh, no, I'm the jinx. I've ruined it for them. But that was such an exciting time to, again, have that opportunity to be in the game, to have some part of it, to express to other people what I see and feel in those games. And it was, it was a lifesaver for me to still have a chance to compete in a way. And so Paul told me, he said, now look, I'm just going to keep talking until you feel like you have something worthwhile to say. And so Paul would talk and talk and talk. So then it worked that I had to touch his elbow when I had something to say. And then he would let me, he says, I'll let you talk. I'll let you say what you want. And so once I'd touch his elbow, he'd give me a chance to talk. And we developed into a good friendship and a good relationship on air, too. We were able to work all of those timing things out. And it was, we had a good experience together.
Well, and you were lucky enough that for as long as you did it, for as many decades as you were in the booth as the color analyst, two play-by-play guys. You had Paul James and you had Greg Wrubell.
Yeah.
And the good news is for you, from a continuity standpoint, it's not like when Greg took over, it's not like you didn't know who he was because he had been on the broadcast as the sideline reporter for several seasons. Was that transition, was it just kind of different?
It was interesting. So it was 38 years that I was on as a color commentator. People are surprised, whoa, that's a long time. But Greg came in, and Greg was feeling a little bit new to this. And so he'd already done a basketball season. Mm-hmm. And so we're now going into our football season. But he had studied like, Greg would do. So he understands all the formations and the words and the terminology. And so when we got together, we did a couple of scrimmages and got together and just were able to talk our way through things. But Greg picked it up pretty quickly. Greg's a master, but the thing that Paul James was so good at is his inflection just brought excitement to you. You know, it would first down even. But and then Greg comes in and he also has so much exuberance and energy and does so well at that. So I was just to tag along and fill in a little space.
You were in the booth when Paul had the heart problem.
I was.
What do you remember from that day, and how do you make it through something like that? We talk about, you've got to be able to go through any scenario and make sure that you continue with the broadcast. I don't know if anybody ever thinks something like that is going to happen during a broadcast.
No, Paul, well, he did. He had this discomfort in his chest, and he said, I had a hot dog out there on the pregame, and I just think I swallowed it something wrong, and I'll be okay. And so he's going on, and somebody tells the paramedics, and I don't know who it was, but somebody in the booth or associated with the booth went and told the paramedics, and so they came in, and Paul's still talking, and they're had his shirt off, and they're putting those wires on him everywhere, and Paul's still talking, and while they're doing all this, and finally, they tell him, you're having a heart attack, and we are recommending that you leave right now and go with us to the hospital. And Paul says, no, I'm not doing that. I'm okay. I'll be all right. I'll just drink some water. And he said, one of our spotters had a nitroglycerin tablet, and he had a heart problem and that he would take to relieve pain. And Paul said, I took that nitro tablet and I feel good now. I'm okay. And he goes, let's see. Nitro helps take the pain away from a heart attack. You took the pill, the pain's gone, you're having a heart attack. And at the point where I was probably with Paul with this until he said, okay, we've told you you're having a heart attack and you're refusing our knowledge and what we're doing and taking you to the hospital. You have to sign this release form that says you understand that we've explained all this. Paul just writes his name down. At that point, I think I would have stopped to think, this is proof that I was an idiot. And so, but Paul did then go to the hospital after he stayed for the call-in show, most of it. And I just again, Paul, we can do this. We can do it. And he had bypass surgery that night.
Wow, what a story.
And that's where then Paul was not able to do the bowl game.
Yeah.
And Greg came in and started the football part of it.
Wow. So I asked you if there's a play. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
One other thing I wanted to mention, the camera, the TV camera, it was a Utah game, and the TV camera comes and picks up Paul James calling the plays in the booth, and the commentary is they're telling me that the play-by-play Paul James, the play-by-play announcer for BYU, is having a heart attack, and he can't leave. This is a real rivalry. And so I thought at that point, too, that would have been a scary thing.
Well, this has been so much fun. I cannot thank you enough for being willing to come and hang out for almost an hour with me. I'd mentioned that the time that I got to work with you was so much fun, and I appreciate you being so kind to me in doing that job, and certainly for coming in and hanging out today. Mark, this has been so much fun. Thank you.
Well, thank you for asking. Yeah, I appreciate it. Man, the Deep Blues are awesome. The ones that have been out there, they've been great. And so,
well, now we're going to add yours to the list.
I hope I fit in.
Oh, you fit in just fine. Mark, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you once again to my guest, Marc Lyons. My name is Jason Shepard. Ben Hall produced this episode. Deep Blue's senior producer is Cleon Wall. You can download and subscribe to Deep Blue on all podcast platforms, or you can find all episodes on the BYU Radio app. Deep Blue is a production of BYU Radio.